Don't be a drag, don't be a putz. Just tune into an episode of Wow, That's Nuts.
Hey! Welcome to Wow, That's Nuts. You drinking your Dunkin' over there?
I got my Dunkin' Donuts here, and I'm ready and rearing and rip-roaring to go.
That's a New England thing. Actually, Dunkin' is all over the place, right? But I think it started in New England, didn't it?
I think so. We're the only dumb idiots that would pay $7 for a coffee.
No, that's not true. Because Starbucks is everywhere, and that's more expensive.
Yeah.
But
anybody you see that's talking like this, you know they go to Dunks.
Yeah, that's definitely a New England thing. We definitely grew up with a New England accent. The only time I realized we had a New England accent was when I went to college, and everyone was like, "Where the hell are you from?" And actually, I noticed. What were you gonna say?
Yeah. No, you go.
Yeah. No. What the hell was I just gonna say?
When you went to college.
Yeah, but I was gonna say something else. Oh, I noticed on the last episode that for me, I don't know about you, but for me in particular, my accent only comes out once in a while, and then other times I hide it. I think because I'm so used to self-conscious about it that I hide it sometimes, and I try not to have the New England accent, but every once in a while it slips out. And when I'm comfortable talking to somebody, or if I'm just, at home or something, then the New England accent is very, very prominent.
Well, the funny part is we have other things going on with our accent that we figured out through the years, and that's why we're like, when we were on tour and we were in Colorado, and those people were like, "You guys sound like cartoon characters." Because I don't know if you remember this, but probably not, but back in the day when my old rear end was in college, I had this voice and articulation professor, and she would travel around to all parts. She literally studied people's accents from all parts of the world. And her latest project was she was going around and she was studying different parts of the United States. So her job was like to teach you, if you were going into acting or theater or communications, which I was, to not have an accent. That was the whole thing that she was trying to teach you. And so she would have to sit with us weekly and listen to us like speak paragraphs. The entire semester, she would be completely baffled. We'd be done and she'd be like, because she'd go over like your whole family origin with you. She'd go through like, she'd go, "Are you sure you didn't grow up anywhere else? Like, you didn't grow up in like Minnesota or like something?" And I was like, "No." She goes, "Tell me." And she'd go, "Tell me again, where is your dad from?" I'm like, "Philadelphia. He was born and raised in Philadelphia." She's like, "No, that's not what I'm hearing." She's like, "That's not it." Finally, at the very end, I remember it was like, we were almost done the semester. She's like, "You're one that I like literally scratch my head with." She goes, "So where do your grandparents come from again?" I'm like, "My meme and Pepe, they were French Canadian. They spoke." She's like, "Oh my God, that's what it is." She's like, "It's the French Canadian accent, the oohs and coos and the way that you have the tight jaw and everything." She's like, "That's what I'm hearing." And she literally started doing a dance in the room because she was so excited that she figured it out, because that's how like into what she was doing. She could not figure it out for life of her. So yeah, apparently like growing up next door to Meme and Pepe, when they would speak French and they had the accent, we picked that up in how we speak. Yeah,
and our relatives from Canada, from Quebec, right? They would come down and visit like once a year and speak French, and we were like, "What the hell are you talking about?" You know what I was thinking about today? I don't know what made me think of this, probably this episode, but remember how Meme used to call insects bibbits? I don't know if that's a French thing or if she made it up herself, but insects were not insects when we were growing up. They were called bibbits.
How did I forget about that one? She had different words for like everything. A butt was fess and like.
Yeah. Imagine trying to be cool and using bibbits instead of insects. "Man, I'm not going out there. There's too many bibbits."
She'd say like, what would she call it? Bump. What did she call you? Like bumpkin or something when she'd see you?
Jackass. She called me Jackass a lot. That was my nickname because I was not a great child. Yeah, I was Jackass.
Jackass. Oh my god. No, what was like a tata fion? Like I don't even know if
Yeah,
those
a
were-
stupid person was a tata or a fion or a tata fion. Is anyone else? I wonder if that's just us. It's got to be from something. Other people must have heard these,
I don't know.
or she made them up. I don't know.
She made 'em up. I'm not sure, but I wonder if they're going to get passed down to your kids. If they're going to have these accents and words.
I hope not.
Oh no, she called us Bunham.
Bunham. What the hell does that mean?
That's what it was.
What the hell is a bunham? I have no idea.
Yeah, well, we know that your kids are definitely, we're passing down the fart jokes to them. They definitely have that sense of humor in this family.
Yeah, that's definitely true. The other thing I was thinking about too is that the amount of accent you have is directly related to your class, upper, middle, or lower. We learned that because our dad managed factories as we were growing up. So everything from the upper class, like owners of the factories, who were like, some of them were like multimillionaires, they had no accent at all. And then the middle class had a little bit of an accent, a little bit here and there. And then the lower class all talk like this. And we were exposed to all of them, so we kind of got a mix of all three. That's another thing. That's a French Canadian thing. 3 is tree.
Tree.
I got 3 of them. How many you want? So it's a mix of New England and French Canadian, I guess, is what our ridiculous accents come from.
The French Canadians flooded this area at one point. Not
Yeah.
anymore. Who would want to live here?
Yeah, they were like, they learned their lesson. Like, let's get out of here. I don't know how they would say it in French, but yeah. So now we just have a hodgepodge of everything, which is cool because growing up it was mostly just French Canadian. But
Yeah, I bet you any amount of money. I can see Marley and Draven having those accents.
yeah, like you said, they already have the fart humor.
Yeah, I was driving around with Marley on Sunday. We were driving around all day because I took her to her hair appointment there, and we definitely passed down to her coming up with different lyrics to songs, and so we came up with a good one that we were laughing. We were probably laughing like 20 minutes over this because that's what we do. This is how we entertain ourselves. Ready?
Yeah.
My body's on fire. My home is a cesspool burning. My farts are alive. My farts are alive.
At least my kids don't do that in school, whereas we did.
As far as you know, they don't.
Well, that's true. But we definitely got in trouble in school for acting out in a lot of ways. A lot of ways.
Were you the class clown?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, I was awful. I did a lot of bad stuff. But you know, everything from like getting in fights and breaking windows and to obviously making fart noises in class, which you got in trouble for too. I'm pretty sure.
Breaking windows.
Yeah, I threw a rock and broke a window one time.
Oh yeah, in the parking lot.
on a dare. I was bad. It was a bad point in my life. Thankfully, I'm out of it now, and I deal with my frustrations by doing this.
You're the one that taught me in school that you make noises, and when the teacher turns around, you have to keep a straight face that it wasn't you. So you have to be like, "La, la, la."
Yeah. Get all the kids going. That's what we both used to do. Well, I guess I did it first, and then you kind of copied it. But yeah, I used to like get all the kids in class going and like make fart noises and stuff and make them laugh. And then when the teacher would turn around from the board, I would have a completely straight face, and everyone else would still be laughing, and they would get in trouble, and I wouldn't. And then,
Yeah, that's what you taught me. That's the teachers could not figure out who was doing it for years. I remember we made the French teacher cry because she was getting so frustrated.
That's
And
awful.
Yeah, she turned around and she's just like, I can't take you kids. That was bad.
Well,
And then I remember one time, Mrs. John couldn't figure out who was making all the noises and who was laughing because she turned around and she didn't suspect it was me. And then finally she figured out it was me, and she was like, I remember I used to come up with like stupid voices. Like that's just what was my thing, is just coming up with voices. And she was teaching about Moses and the burning bush. And I just remember going, "Is it Moses? Moses in the burning bush?" And I would say, and I started doing that in class. She was like, "That's it, Tracy. Get up here in the front and sit up here in the front so I can see you."
do you think anybody knows what a cesspool is besides us?
A cesspool?
Yeah, we use that in the lyrics.
Oh, it's a cesspool.
A cesspool is an underground container for the temporary storage of liquid waste and sewage. See, you learned something new today. Maybe people do know what that is, but
They do, because there was a cop in New Orleans who outright used that word. Like the cops in New Orleans are like a different breed, man. I'm telling you. Like this guy, we went into a coffee shop and he was just sitting there hanging out with people walking in the coffee shop. Can you imagine being a cop in New Orleans? Like you just want to take breaks as much as possible, I would imagine. So it was like during the day and like, no one's partying and stuff. So he's just like shooting the crap with us and he's just like talking with us and stuff. And we were like, "Yeah, do you like working here?" He goes like this. He goes. And then we were like, "Oh, I guess you don't like it there, huh?" Because we were visiting our friend that now lives there. And he was like, this is Michelle and I, of course. And he was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'm going to be retiring in a year and a half." He's like, I said, "Oh, well, that's cool. Are you going to stick around here? Or are you going to?" He's like, "No." He's like, "I'm moving to Mississippi. This place is an effing cesspool." Like he literally said the word, and he was just like, he's just like, this place. He was so fed up. You could just tell. Like I can't imagine
being a cop in New Orleans.
Oh
That's
my
got to be a lot.
I probably could have other choice words for it.
Yeah, you got to think people being drunk all the time, and you have to deal with it. That's got to be a lot.
Do you remember when we were on tour and we had a gap in our schedule and we were passing through? We would be passing through New Orleans, so we stopped and we stayed there. And that was like what? This is like 2009 through 2020, 2009, 2010.
Yeah.
And then I remember the first time we ever walked on Bourbon Street. We stayed on Bourbon Street the first time because we didn't know any better. We stayed at like the Best Western on Bourbon Street. And like we came in through the back area, so we had no idea. Like, we had no idea what to expect. And then all of a sudden we were at the lobby and somebody opened the door and all you heard was like, "Ah!" And then the door like closed, and that was like that was the front side of it, the street that was like right on Bourbon Street. And then we had dinner and we couldn't believe it. You and I were sitting there just watching people like this. And then we asked the waiter, we were like, "Is it like this every night?" Because we were stupid. We had no idea. We thought it was just like during Mardi Gras that people acted like this. And the waiter was like, "Yeah, people just come here to make money for literally a few months and they get out of here."
Makes sense.
It was so nuts. You remember that? Everybody was just acting so crazy. We saw people getting taken out on a stretcher. The horses were trying to like break people up, like break up fights.
And it wasn't anywhere near Mardi Gras.
It was
when
like
we
in
were there.
November.
Yeah. Yeah, that was an experience. The only thing that comes close to that is the Austin. What was the street in Austin that we went?
6th Street.
Yeah. That was pretty close, but not as bad as the main street in New Orleans.
But you know what's interesting? When we were there, when Michelle and I went 2 years ago, it was completely different. And we went during Mardi Gras. We like went during the season, and like there was nobody there. It was almost dead. It was, I mean, that just goes to show the economy right now and how people don't have money to.
Well, COVID probably had a lot to do with that too.
Well, obviously.
Thanks, COVID.
But 2 years ago, it was, that was what? What the heck was 2 years ago? 2024. So, I mean,
Well, back when we went, didn't you do a Michael Jackson contest?
oh my God. We won't talk about how much I had to drink that night. And somebody was, I had the bright idea that this is going to be so funny. There was a real Michael Jackson contest going on.
Like a dance contest,
Yep.
right?
And
Yeah.
I knew in my drunken mind that I would never see these people ever again. And this is before everybody lived of filming everybody, so I was safe. But somebody probably does have a video of that because it was like 2010. And I went up there and disrupted the whole competition and said, "No, I got this." And started doing Michael Jackson moves, knowing they were going to be awful compared to these other people. And then everyone started booing me. And I walked out of there, and some people were like, "That was the coolest thing I've ever seen."
Why? Why would they say that if they were booing you?
I have no idea, but I remember you and I were laughing. We were laughing like halfway down the street about it. I'm like, what would possess me to even do something like that?
There was another time we went down there. I think this was a different time, but because it was around Halloween, and we went to House of Shock.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that? It was in the early 2000s, and House of Shock was a horror, like a haunted house, and it was was partly made by Phil Anselmo, the singer of Pantera. Pantera frontman Phil Anselmo was a key co-founder and driving force behind the House of Shock, a notorious heavy metal themed haunted attraction in New Orleans. And we went to it, and this was again like 2009 or so, and it was pretty cool. I thought it was good. There was one we went to in North Carolina that was better. I don't remember, but it was like out in the middle of
The
a
woods.
field, and it was pretty scary.
Yeah. I think the scarier part was when we were waiting. I remember this. It was scarier than the actual haunted house itself. Was we were waiting, and we had to wait a long time in those lines to get in. And they were playing movies you and I had literally never seen before.
Yeah.
We were like, what the heck are these movies? And that's when I realized there's like a deeper underground whole thing going on with horror movies. Because every movie they played, I was like, what the heck is this?
That was probably one of the inspirations for me subscribing to Shudder. For those of you who don't know, Shudder is like a Netflix with just horror movies on it, and it's pretty awesome. Like a lot of stuff you can't find anywhere else, you can find on Shudder, both new and old stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I stopped watching horror movies in 2016, but I remember when we went, I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, how many? I mean, because they just kept playing scenes on this big projector as you were waiting, and I was like, this is scary. What are these movies? Remember that? We were almost gonna like email them and ask, what were those movies that you guys were playing in the beginning? Because I didn't know what any of them were.
That might have been part of the reason there was a lot of controversy around the House of Shock. Like people in New Orleans were opposed to it because there was a lot of satanic imagery and themes and stuff like that. Founded in 1992 in a backyard, by the early 2000s, House of Shock had grown into a massive professional and controversial commercial warehouse attraction known for its intense graphic scenes and satanic themes. And then the attraction faced significant opposition from local religious groups and politicians who protested the themes, sometimes even entering the attractions to throw holy water on the exhibits. Anselmo, however, welcomed the controversy, noting it often helped drive attendance. The House of Shock ran for 25 years before closing in 2017. It was considered one of the most infamous and influential haunted attractions in the United States, raising money for local New Orleans charities. Well, that's cool that it raised money for charities.
Yeah.
But he closed down, and now he runs a different one called Housecore Home Haunt, which is just for his friends and family. Basically, I guess he turns his house into a haunted house every October.
Interesting. See, I forgot all that. I forgot that they even owned that haunted house.
Yeah, it was. If I remember correctly, there was like 3 owners, and he was one of them. But he had a big hand in like developing it and doing all the artistic stuff and everything.
Wait, he passed away, right?
Phil?
Yeah. No, who passed away? Who else passed away in Pantera?
Dimebag and Vinny.
Vinny. It was Vinny.
I'll tell the story of how I met Vinny Paul. So I was in Vegas for a conference in the early 2000s, and
Were you like 21?
something like that. And it was right after Dimebag died, so it might have been later than that. I don't know. But-
Dimebag died in 2004.
okay, so it was like mid. It was like a couple years after he died. So I was at this conference in Vegas, and I was at the Hard Rock, and I was walking through the casino, and I saw Vinnie Paul, and I was with my friend. I was like, "Dude, that's Vinnie Paul. Let's go say hi to him," like an idiot, not like paying any attention to the fact that his brother just died on stage with him, and he probably would have a lot of security around him, which he did. So I walked right up to him. I was like, "Hey, man, can I get a picture?" And before he could say anything to me, like these three huge dudes walk up to me and they were like, "Get out of here." And I was like, I was bummed, but then I thought about it after. I was like, oh yeah, his brother just got shot on stage, so it makes sense that he has a lot of security around him.
That sucks.
So that was my dumbass move.
Over the summer, we saw Pantera, and I
Well,
was-
not me, you and Michelle, right?
Yeah, Michelle and I went. Who else do I hang out with other than Michelle? That wants to do anything fun, but she's the one that got us tickets to go see them, and we were way in the back, and I obviously wasn't drinking, so because I stopped drinking in October of 2024, and so this is last summer. This is literally a year ago, almost a year ago, and I was like, well, I'll just try those I like those adaptogen drinks. So I was like, all right, I'll try one of those, cannabis drinks, like just to relax or whatever. Well, I'm not a cannabis person. I don't smoke cannabis. I don't hardly ever. The only thing I ever did was when I was in a lot of pain is I tried the gummies right before I'd go to bed so I didn't feel anything. And I'm one of those people that I don't like how I act on them. So unless it's something that puts me to sleep, I act like I've already discovered years ago that I act kind of crazy. So I don't know why I was thinking like, yeah, I could handle a few of these drinks. Well, I drank 2 of them, and Michelle got the ones that are in Rhode Island that have like a higher concentration of THC than Connecticut. Connecticut only has like a certain amount, but Rhode Island you can have higher, I guess. Well, I drank 2 of them pretty fast because we were trying to get into the concert. Same thing happened to me that happened to me a few times. All of a sudden, Michelle said she looked over at me, and I was like this. Like, I literally just remember feeling scared. So I was trying to talk to ChatGPT, like, what do I do? I was like, I feel just like running away. I need to run away somewhere. Because that's how it makes me feel. It makes me feel like I got to get out of here.
That's the last person you should. Person, it's not a person. That's the last thing you should do when you're freaking out is talk to ChatGPT. You heard about those stories about like how it convinced people to kill themselves?
Oh, God.
It's terrible.
Well, I was trying to figure out, like, is there something, do you eat? I don't know anything about cannabis. So I was like, do you eat when you're high? Do you not eat when you're high? I remember hearing, like, one thing makes it worse. So it was just like, no, you have to ride it out. You just have to ride it out and keep convincing yourself you're okay. Well, I can't tell you anything that happened in this concert. I didn't even really get to enjoy it because I was scared for like literally the whole half of the concert. Just like what happened to me at Faith No More in 2015. It was the same exact thing. I had a bad trip.
Yep.
And I didn't realize that those drinks that they sell right on the shelf now would do this. So anyway, I didn't even get to enjoy it. I couldn't even tell you who played for Pantera, what I saw, other than I was scared. And then after that, I was like, I had a few clients that shared some stories about what happened with them with cannabis. And I was like, right around the same time, I saw this article had come out last summer talking about how more and more people are getting actual psychosis and schizophrenia from the cannabis that they're putting in these, even at the dispensaries, because it's synthetic, I guess. And more people are getting this. Did you hear this?
Yeah. I'm lucky because I don't like weed.
Yeah.
I've gone through periods of my life where I've, indulged, and I just don't really have any interest in doing it anymore. It just puts me to sleep. Like I can't do anything. I'm one of those people who, if I smoke, I have no ambition to do anything at all, so I just never do it.
Well, and how many musicians we already saw back in the day and friends of ours that they got so addicted to it, they literally can't go without like 2-3 hours without smoking it.
Yeah.
They can't do it. They can't like function without it.
I think a lot of it depends on genetics too. Like a lot of people, I know people who can smoke every day and be fine, and other people who have no ambition and smoke every day, and that's why. Research shows there's a link between cannabis use and schizophrenia, but the relationship is a bit nuanced. Cannabis does not automatically cause schizophrenia in most people, but it can increase the risk, especially for certain individuals. Multiple long-term studies have found that frequent cannabis use, particularly high THC products, which you found out,
Yeah.
is associated with a higher likelihood of developing psychotic disorders such as schizophrenia. Yeah, so it's pretty scary, and it seems to be happening more now than it did before. I don't know if it's because it's legal now and more people are doing it, or if it's just the amount of THC that's put in products
yeah.
now is more. Or...
I think it's that. And I can tell you firsthand, I had a client and he already gave me permission to talk about this. He was a really interesting client of mine I had years back. And so this is probably like after I had him like years ago, he reached out to me like probably like 2-3 years ago. And he told me that he had stopped smoking cannabis many years ago. He gave it up. And he had recently picked it up. And he told me that it literally gave him psychosis. And he had no idea that that could happen. And he's like, it really scared me. Like, I had no idea where I was. I ended up in the hospital. And this is someone that, you know, had it regularly. So him like reaching out to let me know that, and then the experience I had over the summer is enough to like warn people, like you got to be careful. Like, yeah, they're obviously putting something in it, or it's more strong, or like I don't know, but like it opens up. I think it opens up doors that you can't. People think like, oh yeah, and psychosis you could get over it in months' time, or it never goes away. That's really scary.
That is. The worst is when we run into people who we played shows with or came to see us play a lot back in the day, and they come up to us and they're like, you know, are you guys still playing music and stuff? And they're like in a completely different place in their lives than we are. Not to say that we're better than them or anything like that. Just saying that we've kind of moved on from that kind of behavior, and that we know people or have known people who never got over it and still do it, and they're still in that mindset of like party every day and that kind of thing. And it's really awkward when they talk to us and they're like, hey, are you guys still playing? And that kind of stuff. And it's just like, yeah, let's do a role play. I'll be one of those people and you be us. Hey, you guys still playing?
Oh yeah, we're sometimes doing some projects here and there, you know.
Yeah, we should put a band together. You guys still play music? You remember how to read music?
I don't know, sir. The only thing I've been reading or have the energy to read nowadays is the takeout menu.
That's pretty much how that conversation goes. No, there's a lot of people we still keep in contact with that are, you know, that have kind of moved on from that and kind of are in the same spot that we are. But then there's those people who are, you know, party animals. Everybody knows those people. Like, they never grow out of it. They just keep partying all the time. And I mean, for some of them, it's just the way they are, and it works for them. And for others, it's kind of sad. But you know, it's just that's life.
See, for me, like I grew up spiritually. Like I didn't, you know, like there's something deeper going on with people, places, things, and that's where I went. And like, so people think I'm like a real weirdo now because, you know, because I like really figured it out and you know, but like actually getting back to that client. He figured it out too. And so there's many people like my age, like mid-40s, that are like, yeah, we figured out there's something much deeper going on with people. That guy in particular, right, that I had, he had told me a story and I never forgot it because we were on the same page with like, we understood this stuff. He told me that when he was a kid, his brother was literally like a bad seed. He was born bad. And I never believed that until I watched the Evil Lives Here series. Have you ever seen that?
No.
That series, it will explain to you that you think people turn evil because of environment or genetics or something like that is playing a role in this. But when you actually watch these episodes of people talking about how the other siblings turned out, like the parents were, you could tell the parents were really put together. They took really good care of the kids in the family. And they had this like one kid who was truly evil. So he tells me a story at one point during a session. And again, I have his permission to talk about this. he wanted me to share this with people, but it's one of the stories that like lives in my mind. He said that his brother actually crawled out of his crib. So I'm pretty sure they were twins too. And the brother crawled out of his crib, came into his crib, and his parents tell the story that they came in the room and his brother was trying to kill him. They were in a crib. So dude, what age is that when you're in a crib? You're like
37 maybe? No? I don't know.
I mean, so he remembers that, and then he tells the story about however many years later he realized his brother is just evil, so he stays away from him. But they had to all get together for some family get together, and the brother called him up and was like, "Hey, can I stay with you?" And he goes, "I had this really nervous feeling, like I don't want my brother in my house, you know." And he was like, "Well, aren't you going to stay with mom and dad?" You know, he was trying to like push it off, and he was like, "No," he said, "I want to come stay with you." And he's like, "Okay." So then they hang up the phone, and it's like getting time for him to come over. And his brother literally called him up and goes, "You know that picture you have in your house of Jesus? I'm going to need you to take that down before I come over." He literally called him up and told him, I can't, you have to take that picture. Now, why would someone be so offended by a picture of Jesus? You explain that one to me.
That's crazy.
Isn't it though? I just find it so interesting that, you know, some of us have figured it out. You know, it's not all about aesthetics and walking around Earth and all the fleshly things on Earth. Like, it's so much more than that. You know, and getting back to the whole, you guys still playing? Are you guys still playing? Yeah, we're playing. Nowadays, I'm playing hide and go eat. And hide and go sleep. That's what I'm playing. I'm playing the pizza. Years ago, that stuff took over my whole life because as a female, you had to worry about that stuff.
I think that's a big part of when I say that we've moved on. It's more that we just don't care what people think about us anymore.
No, it's truly about, I realized now, it's about being healthy and staying healthy. And when you had health issues, you'll do anything to make sure that you stay, you know, you keep up on that. But years ago, that stuff used to take over my whole life. Counting calories, running on the treadmill to make sure you burn 1,000 calories. I mean, I was doing all that crazy stuff back then. I don't even think you or anybody knew that.
No.
Yeah.
Exercising obviously is super important, especially for mental and physical health. But when it becomes an obsession, then it becomes the opposite of it's not good anymore and now it's bad.
Yeah. I mean, that stuff created, back in the day, especially in the 90s and the way the models looked and everything, that created eating disorders in so many women.
Well, it's still happening with people using filters on social media, and other people look at them and like, oh, I look like shit.
Yep.
But that's not reality. What you're looking at is AI.
Yep.
So chill out.
Yeah.
Have a burger.
Yeah. Yeah. You just become concerned. You're not concerned anymore with any of that, and you're just, or overall perception of what you look like. It's just like you don't care about that anymore. You've been through so much that you just don't care. Leslie Nielsen, I just don't care anymore. I just don't care.
It's surprising to me that you went through that, because it seems to me from an early age you really didn't give a shit what people thought about you.
I did and I didn't. But that kind of pressure was something I walked around with all the time. And you got to remember too, like, I was on stage since I was 3 years old. Mom and Dad had me enrolled in dance school, and I had to be in a leotard every you know. And then I was too skinny. I used to get made fun of for being too skinny in high school.
What was the person that everyone used? Kimmy Gibbler? Is that what they called you?
Oh my God, yeah, I did. I looked exactly like Kimmy Gibbler with my braces.
What was she on? Full House?
Full House.
Like one of the characters on Full House?
I literally I was like a spitting image of her. She was so lanky and her, yeah, that's exactly what I looked like in high school.
But even at that age, you were still walking around making fart jokes and doing crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's like half of me cared and the other half of me did not at all. and I had confidence and everything from being on stage, but it's like this underlying pressure you walk around with all the time. But it's funny you're talking about that. I just remembered that. Yeah, in college, so we had already started a band in high school, and we were still in this cover band making money. But then when I got to college, I had to figure out, am I doing theater or are we doing the band? Because I couldn't do both. I couldn't be in a theater production, which was like 6 months of the whole year, and be in this band. I couldn't do both. But I remember I had this teacher, David Burr, I think was his name. And he was like, yeah, I mean, this guy, I'm pretty sure was in Broadway. The guy was just incredible. And he was one of my favorite theater teachers. And he taught a bunch of classes, but my favorite class he taught was improv. And that was the first one I ever walked in and met him. And you know those professors that you can just tell they've been there too long and they're just tired and like they're going to retire soon. Oh yeah. Well, that year he told everyone he was going to retire. I'm like, yep, I know that. But when I walked into the class the first time, like you could just tell he's just, no one's interesting, and nobody was lighting him up or anything. And me and this one other kid, and I can't remember his name. He was funny, but we were the only two in the whole class that can make this man laugh. And I remember he said to me, Trace, I don't know what you want to do with this band or anything like that. He goes, but all I know is you need to, whatever you do, it's got to be on a stage. But the funniest thing I ever did, that I remember to this day, that made this guy laugh. And he was one of those people that you know what I mean? It took everything to make him laugh. So I felt pretty special. But he made us, it was like, there was props all around the room. And you had to come up with some type of Disney character 3 times throughout the whole like segment. So you get up and you have to like pick something up and pretend you're this character or that character. And I just remember, I don't know what the other 2 characters were, but I remember it was time to switch. And I go, come over here and sit on my shit-stained sheets. Because the sheet was like all brown. So I was obviously doing like the Wicked Witch. And I just remember everybody just started laughing. And everybody was on the floor laughing. And he couldn't help it. I couldn't help it. And he told me, yeah, that's the one thing you lack. This one thing you have to watch out for is you break character. Because I'd start laughing. Yeah, you would have been the Jimmy Fallon of SNL. One time, you remember Claire in high school? Yeah. I remember I broke character almost this close, right on stage. Hundreds of people in the audience. And it was a big production. I don't know how many they could fit in the audience at high school, but it was pretty big. And I remember I had to open up this locket, and it was one of those stupid things like you bought at like Claire's, the actual store Claire's. And you open up the locket, and it was just this face that said brat. And it was just a stupid face like this. Brat. And we both, her too, and she's as professional as it gets. We both were like this. Like, we had to hold it back so bad and not laugh on stage, but it would have been funny if we busted out laughing. I actually never enjoyed musicals. Did you? No. I would enjoy them if they had toilet humor in them. Imagine if Annie was all about toilet humor. It's a fart, not life. Fart, knock life. All right, let's do it.
It's a fart knock life for us. It's a fart knock life for us. Instead of where's this?
Instead of what? Okay.
It's a fart knock life for us. It's a fart knock life for us. Instead of whispers, there's a blast. Instead of breezes, toxic gas. It's a fart knock life for us. It's a fart knock life for us. Instead of silence, let one fly. Instead of fresh air, people cry. It's a fart knock life.
All right, I think we can end it there. Until next time, everybody. Bye-bye.